been asking for all the time. England captain Root comes back in, so he maybe knows something that we don't know about. He continues. Didn't 2 for 5.
I always worry when he starts the ball. He has a tendency to bowl quite slingily with a very sidearm action, which isn't going to be much good for a spinner.
There is Joshua De Silva. He's gonna and to keep concentrating and take his eyes off of Joe Root, because one might just spin past him. He's gonna have to be very cautious. He's batting in his West Indies cap, and we have not seen this for a very long time. Just tickles this one around the corner, and we'll get an easy single, a single which is certainly needed. It now brings the West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite strike. He's on 45. Silver goes to 10.
Always like to see somebody not wearing a helmet.
So about that, Alan and Nestle, they were able to get 2 runs there quite easily. So confidence booster here for the Silver. Here comes Joe Root. Comes in out the ball to Silver, and all of a sudden, look at pressure easing up. We got a slip, a silly point, a leg slip, more or less 2 leg slips, more or less, and a short leg. Is a wide delivery from Root, and the 3rd boundary of his spell so far. Freeing the arms here for the Silver boundary.
Very much like you said, Vernon. When the bad ball's there to be hit, you've got to hit it, and De Silva's been an ideal foil for the patience of Brathwaite since he's come to the crease.
That's why I keep overemphasizing the importance of Ben Stokes' innings in the first, Ben Stokes' century in the first innings. It's about risk. He came out and he decided that, listen, I'm going to take this attack to the West Indies, whether you like it or not. And he just peaked. That is what the West Indies need, and this is what I thought that I would have from Holder today. Instead, I got a defensive mood, more or less, from Holder, and in the end, he got, as we said, he received a long knock.
Certainly will do. Nestle boy.
In the old tennis days, we used to call it you're getting tight.
Yeah.
So you couldn't play your game.
Was it Medvedev against Nadal in the Aussie Open final?
Yeah.
Just want to. Do you want to do your?
I've just got one
stuff
from Weakling Child who says, "Who knew that England would pick 3 spinners for this test?"
I just want to make one last reminder with regards to the offers that are available to our patrons through the partnership that we've created with Joanne and Brad at windrushbay.com. 10% off their hampers simply by using the code WBGC at checkout. But there is more discount available if you become a patron, patreon.com/gorilla cricket or gorilla, sorry. We should be able to, that 10% becomes a 20% discount. I believe the rums are changing as we move from island to island, so I think there's a different selection for the third test. Vernon, are you joining us again for the 3rd test?
Yes, I have to work overtime with you guys.
It's a good job it's not a 5-test series then.
I will have some help this time from Grenada. We'll have Stevenson Worm, who will be with us, so I think that we'll have a rounded panel. We also expected to have Darwin Telema, who I think will be joining us, and that time we should have Mally Richards with us, maybe for some of the luncheon reports. So it'll be an exciting time.
That's fabulous stuff, because I've certainly learned a lot from what you've been talking about with your discussions with David at lunchtime and tea time with regards to the insight about the inner workings of being within that conglomerate that is the West Indies. It's fascinating to hear how it comes together or sometimes doesn't come together.
Yeah, it's a challenge. Even in the leewards and the windwards, you're talking about 12 countries. In the leewards, you have 8 countries. In the windwards, you have 4.
No, it's been fascinating to be able to hear what maybe are going well or not going well. Yeah, I think we're going to have. We're down to the last hour, so we're down to our last 15 overs. And Vernon, you're going to have some pace bowling to look at.
And England needs 5 wickets. I don't know if this is a good ploy here, Alan. I thought if the spin was more effective on this track than the seamers. I think the seamers went on. I think the batsmen were more or less relaxed, but you never can relax to a Ben Stokes.
True enough.
No.
True enough.
Just remarking his guard, the traditional Shandapal style. The bail and using his left hand. We'll have to start all over again. This is the final hour, guys. This is make or break here for both teams, the West Indies and England. England searching to win a test match right here in the Caribbean. The last time they would have won in St. Lucia, they want to win here. Kensington Oval, the Republic of Barbados. Ben Stokes is in now to bowl to Bartlett, and Bartlett is turning this. But he can't beat the short leg, which is maybe about 6 meters away from the traditional short leg position. 50 overs, hold the 51st starting.
How many balls now has Brathwaite faced? I think he's gone
in the test match. I think it's about 600. I think it's about 620. It's a long time to be around.
Wow.
Certainly a long time. It's 139 in this innings here already. Here is he coming down to another delivery. His 140th delivery he would have faced so far. And if we go back to what would have actually happened in the first innings, we just give you an idea in terms of Brathwaite marathon innings. You can't complain. And Stokes with the ideas, 489 in the first innings, and already he's got 141
628.
Yeah, so we understand in terms of what's happening.
And counting.
630 balls so far.
Yep.
And a relaxed West Indies dressing room. Sure, so I don't know if they have any nerves yet. England will feel that if we can get Joshua De Silva, get another Zari Joseph in, we could be able to put some pressure on. What I want to see, especially to Ben Stokes, is that the stride of both Joshua De Silva and Brathwaite, they're going to have to be as tight as possible and not play around their pads. You see the angle in terms of where Ben Stokes is coming. Here is a on the onside, picking up his 46 run is Brathwaite. He get a nick onto that, or was that leg by?
No, he just dabbed that down to mid wicket. De Silva looked very technically correct as a batsman when I saw him make his 30 in the first innings. So unless Stokes produces some rabbit out of the hat, I don't think De Silva doesn't look like the type who's going to give his wicket away through some poor shot.
I'd have gone for Mahmood before Ben Stokes, to be honest with you, Alan and Nestle.
I think you're right. I think he was very dangerous at the beginning of the inning, but maybe a bit of seniority, Vernon.
Yeah, seniority does come into play, and I guess Ben Stokes will be the DeAndre Dottin here for England. He's decided, listen, give me that ball, Skip. Let me see what I can do. Is he the vice captain, Alan and Nestle?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They would have had a conversation. Here comes Ben Stokes now in to Joshua De Silva, who's automatically turned right around, more or less in a square arm position. He's waving to the pavilion. I don't know if it's for gloves or what, but we'll see what happens. Over number 51 comes to an end. So the first of 15 have been bowled. 14 overs remains, and England going through a dull period of play here. I just sometimes feel, Alan and Nestle, the bowlers maybe are trying too hard. They want to get a wicket every ball.
Yeah. It's not panic stations, but it's they're striving too hard, aren't they?
Interesting that I think they've switched Leach's end to bowl. So Leach is now bowling from the end that previously Lawrence and Root were bowling from, which I'm assuming can't be his preference.
I don't think so, because from that end you'd have bowled some 95 dot balls, 18 overs, 8 maidens, 33 runs, 3 wickets. Why would you try to change him? And I know that change was in the set up for a long time ago. First delivery, sort of dragged that down, more or less. Leach, lucky not in the way. It is 46. Oh, he has played. This is really Test cricket at its highest. The West Indies captain exemplified real maturity, class in batting, grit of Test cricket. When you read about Test cricket, you always learn so much about the grit and the determination of batsmen. You think about Geoffrey Boycott from England.
Certainly do.
109 for 5. So many other players. Mike Braley, from England captain. Those are guys who gave their hand away. Test cricket over the period of time has changed. We say that.
It certainly has. That one was just he just defended that into the offside field. But it does seem that this is a rarer and rarer type of innings.
Certainly.
The Hobbits are back.
If you look in terms of former wicketkeeper batsman from Australia, Adam Gilchrist, he to an extent in Australia would have also changed Test cricket in terms of the aggressive approach to get runs. We'll talk a little bit more about that. At 46, Leach fighting away. I think he's just bowling a little bit too fast. He could give himself a little more time to make the ball spin.
It's just these tiny fractions, isn't it?
Yep.
We're not talking about it's completely wrong. Just tiny fractions.
You see, his hand is just rolling over because he's not coming from the top like a Dan Lawrence, more or less like a round arm issue. I mean, that to me is the issue that I think that we're having.
Warren wants to know: is this the crucial last hour, as we always call it, the crucial first hour?
It's about as vital as it gets.
And Muggs,
I certainly think so.
Muggs says technically correct, the best kind of correct.
Technically, or is factually correct better? I'm not quite sure.
Weakling Child says maybe Stokes could give a bit of spin a go. He's done it in the nets. On second thoughts, maybe not. Not in this situation, Weakling Child.
Silver is 14. He waits for Ben Stokes, and positively looking up the V. Now, as a coach, you would want to tell your player to keep looking up the V. Don't look anywhere else. They need 5 wickets. Very, very, very important. Very cautious that we're going to need that. Alan?
Yeah. I mean, it just...
I am here. I'm commentating.
We're waiting for that first domino to fall.
Love it.
Stokes is in, just left outside the off stump.
Yeah, very, 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 very positive.
Vernon, can't you ask your wife not to call you at work?
Wish I could. 109 for 5. Stokes working away here. He's not been effective spell, Alan and Nestle, as compared to his first spell.
No,
I think he was hustling the batsman a little bit more. He sort of looks a gentle medium here in the spell. That's why I thought Mahmood would have been more effective.
I was going to say just before you said that, and it won't. It's not reverse psychology. He doesn't look like you're going to get a wicket from Stokes here.
I think, but with 12 overs left, you've got to be very quick to cut it and to move on to something else. There's no time to wait for something to happen. Joe Root's got to make something happen with some choices here.
But at the same time, also he has to be patient, and I think that sometimes that the bowlers are rushing it. They're so desperate to get a wicket. There's almost not really a plan in terms of what they're looking to. They just feel that they can roll over the West Indies.
Vernon, Nestle, just to your point about the fact that maybe he's not being threatening, Folks is now standing up to him. Folks isn't standing back. He's directly just behind the stumps, which is I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen this in Stokes' career, that a wicketkeeper standing up to him.
Ugly. Here is a pull shot by the Silver. He'll get a boundary there. much needed boundary. And the Silver fighting on, his dad and his mom in Pakistan in Barbados. The first time Alan and Nestle, Big Brathwaite's mom, has seen him play cricket.
Wow.
That's amazing.
From since he's made his first class debut at 16 years old.
Why is
For
that?
him, this was a special moment. I think his moods and moments, normally sometimes mom don't like to see their children play. And she's maybe been one of them. I would love to hear the conversation as to why she came to this game.
Listen, if this is the way he bats, if his mum's in if his mum is there, the West Indies should fly her out to Grenada immediately after this game is finished.
I thought the same thing. It almost reminded me of a tough situation in 2019. I don't know if you guys remember. Alzari would have lost his mom during the test match. Morning of the first day's test match. So mothers are so important. 13 for 5, 53 overs bowled.
Well, next Sunday is Mothering Sunday here in the UK. I'm not sure whether it's the same over in the Caribbean as well. So we'll certainly be paying tributes to mums on Mothering Sunday. I know that.
So each will continue, and Brathwaite coiling away. Oh, how well he has batted. I think when he looks back at this test match, it would have been really the grind of him, the concentration, the work that he would have been. Very relaxed West Indies dressing room. Brathwaite, for a moment, went through his defense there for a while, but sometimes you need that sort of luck, honestly.
I think he's earned it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is the narrowest of gaps between bat and pad and glove, and the narrowest of gaps between all of that and the off stump.
Just has to give it enough time so that he can twirl it. I think he's just rushing it.
Oh, and that one's beating the outside edge as well, Vernon. He's making the ball dance a little bit there.
But one thing about it you can know for sure is that Brathwaite is concentrating. He's keeping his eyes on the ball and he's staying low.
Yeah.
151 deliveries he has faced so far. He might maybe by now faced over 245 deliveries from Leach. I'm Craig Brathwaite.
They're going to know each other pretty well by the end of this series, aren't they?
It certainly will. 113 for 5. Brathwaite is 46. The Silver is 18. Each 3 for 33. He's into his 20th over. And Brathwaite fighting away. Really solid. Like the rock of Gibraltar. The Republic of Barbados now. And he's really making sure that he's going to be one of the great West Indian players. And he wants to put his name in the history books, Craig Brathwaite. Lots of talk when he was promoted as Test captain for the West Indies team. Most persons thought that Holder should have come back into the fold, but Brathwaite has held firm.
I think it's helped Holder as well, not being captain. It's strange how sometimes the title doesn't affect the player, but other times it really does.
You think that way, Alan?
Yeah, I think sometimes it takes a special type of. It doesn't always follow that your best player should be your captain. But in this case,
and that's an important point, Alan, because Lau was our best batsman. Was he our best captain?
Yeah.
The records will show no.
Yeah.
He was our best batsman. And Lawrence is back. So somebody must have heard us.
From your lips to God's ears to Joe Root's brain.
Healers from all over. And the Silver will have to restart again. Going for his West Indies cap. And he's punching through the offside. That's the difference. The Silver is going to be very, 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 very positive. I can tell you that. Anything that is over toss, he's going to pounce on that.
Vernon, Nestle Boy and I have similar first experiences about watching cricket. There is something very evocative about watching a player in that West Indies cap, isn't there, Nestle Boy? 114
for 5. folks, I really want to thank you guys. I think my spell will be coming up at the end of this over. It's really been a real huge experience for me to be able to be sharing the spotlight on GorillaCricket.com, and also to have Platinum FM 97.9 being part of this change. And we will continue into Grenada. Here is Bratwet pulling this one away. Will it have the legs to get into the boundary? No. The outfield is a little bit slow, but I think he'll be able to pick up a couple of runs here. If he gets to 50 and he gets a not out, in fact, he got 3 runs, so it was important.
Yeah, on to 49.
Yeah, certainly deserves that half century.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure for you to be with us for this session and this test as well.
There is England fielders getting closer and closer. It's almost like number 11 is batting for the West Indies team. The way how Joe Root has employed all these fielders inside the 30-yard circle. Certainly desperate for a swing here. The West Indies fighting along here in this important second Apex test. They're playing for the Richards Botham Trophy. 2 outstanding sportsmen. One from England and one from Antigua, and you could think about the days of Somerset with Garner, Botham and Richards.
Yeah.
It comes into strike. He's 49 from 156 deliveries. Will need 5 wickets. 10 overs remaining in the day's play. Owens in now to bowl to Bratwet. 50 for Bratwet. A lovely knock, and if it has the legs, it will get a boundary. It does. Nigel Dogood will signal 50 to Bratwet.
And flashing cameos, quite accumulation that just grows and grows. Lucky or lucky, inducing reverie. These are a few types of half century.
157 balls, 214 minutes, 4 boundaries, his 25th half century. Go along with his 10th, he would have scored here in the first innings. What a knock. Leading from the front. First innings, he faced 489 balls. Already in this innings, 157. My teammates, my comrades, thank you very much.
Well, Vernon, a huge thank you to you too. It's been an absolute delight. And the good news is you're joining us again next week to commentate with us from Grenada, and we're delighted about that. It's been absolutely loved your company. As we wait for Jack Leach, who is in, and forward comes Joshua De Silva, old Wimbledonian. He went there under the Kieran Pollard Scholarship in 2017. I am joined by Mash and by, of course, the inimitable Ed Benson. As forward again comes Josh De Silva, pushes into the onside. There's no run. The equations here, chaps. Well, England need those wickets, don't they? And the West Indies, there's 10 overs remaining. We reckon 9.4. England need 5 wickets. Leach around the wicket. De Silva solidly forward. Leach skips across. Mash, how's that bag?
I think Joel Root should probably shake hands at the end of this over, to be honest.
Well, I thought you might say that. In comes Leach again. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men around the bat. Leach, surely you don't make him field off his own bowling, do you? He's done enough work this test, and indeed he doesn't. Root is looking thoughtful. He might be. Maybe he's got an earpiece listening to you, Mash.
No, I think last time I was on, I said, will he take it down to the last over? I guess he kind of has to, but I don't know. Well, we'll see.
We will see where they get to. Onto the back foot goes De Silva. Punches back to Jack Leach. That's 77 overs on his back. That's nearly how many overs he bowled. But that's not what the number's for. But it wasn't far off, 77. He's bowled past that now in this test because he's bowled 20. He's in his 21st in this innings. And that's cut past one of the Hobbits, but is fielded down by Fisher at deep backward point. In comes the throw. They will take a single, and in fact De Silva will keep himself the strike. Ed, I think you're on social media there. Well, who have we got?
Tony, I'm just trying to work out how to use it. I'll get back to you.
Don't worry, we'll swing along. That will be fine. Mash, the first test ever in Barbados. You remember that? No, well, obviously you don't remember that, but...
No, but what facts are you going to tell me about it?
Well, I'm just going to tell you, it was against England, it was in 1930, and it was a draw. Not quite such a down-to-the-wire draw as this. I can tell you, Clifford Roach made 122 for the West Indies, who batted first, made 369. England leggy Greville Stevens got a 5 for Bill Vose, of course, who was famous for the Bodyline series. He took a couple. I'll tell you a bit more in a minute. We're going to wait for Dan Lawrence, who's going to frog in a blender his way in, and drops this quite wide of De Silva's off stump. And I'm pretty sure Josh De Silva is going to want nothing to do with anything that isn't going to really trouble him if it doesn't have to. In he comes again. There's 5 men around the back. That's a better ball, and forces De Silva onto the back foot, but he punches towards mid-wicket. And again there is no run. He's bowled well, Lawrence, number 26, but he's always looked threatening, and he's got an appreciable amount of bounce back mash, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's bowled really well, I have to say.
Oh, he gives that some air. Having said that, he serves up an absolute pie. Wouldn't he just do that? De Silva, though, is still pretty careful. He guides this away rather than thrashes it away into the offside. Doesn't run. Don't think it's really about getting runs for the West Indies at the moment. It's about just ticking those overs down and waiting for Joe Root, as I think Mash will argue, to do the right thing. As that one again is, in a way he's bouncing it too much, Mash, because De Silva could just use his stomach there and just almost belly it away.
Yeah, I've got a point to make. I'll let him finish this over first.
Well, that would be helpful enough. As in comes Lawrence. That again is wide. He's starting, though, maybe the excitement, maybe the pressure, maybe just the workload. He's starting to just look a little bit part-time with some of these deliveries, which is not to be entirely, surprised. That one, De Silva does thump, and he's thumped it away through mid-wicket, and it's going to go all the way to that mid-wicket boundary for one of these. I think that was a question, Mash, of De Silva going, look, you can only bowl so much rubbish at me, I'm going to have to hit one of them. and that's just what he did.
Most definitely, and actually something I should point out as well about Josh as the umpire ushers the waterman off as we try to do a tactical rundown of time.
Oh, whose waterman was that?
The tweet's working, I think, Tony.
Oh, well, that's good news. Maybe just hold that, because Jack Leach wants to get into his work. But if you can slip in a few messages between balls, that will also help. Ed, maybe we'll go about it that way this over, just so you can catch up a bit. It looked pretty busy. I think we were pretty busy on YouTube as well. I won't trouble you with Facebook or Hot Mic. We'll just stick you with the basics, Ed. It's been a while. Round the wicket comes Leach, forward comes Brathwaite. What a rock he's been. 690 odd balls now, the most ever faced by a West Indian in a test match. That's pretty impressive.
So Mog says you should pick your best captain to be captain, but that's not really how it works.
In comes Leach, forces Brathwaite onto the back foot, kept low. Brathwaite jabs the bat down, no run. Carry on, Ed.
O'Neill Harris says Richie Richardson's form deteriorated under his captaincy. Without the captaincy, he was the best batsman in the world. I love watching him.
Okay, Jack Leach, 7.4 overs left. The bear has come and gone. He's done his emergency service. Oh, edged. I don't know if that got any back. Came off the pad. Might have got some edge as well. Went past Muppet. Not Muppet, I beg your pardon. Hobbit. Past Hobbit 2. Not Muppet 2. That's completely wrong, isn't it? Oh, definitely an edge. But it avoided Alex Lees, who's at Silly Point, and it avoided the man at Very Short Gully, and just went between the two of them. Jack Leach, an exclamation of horror from him as he waits to bowl again to Brathwaite. They've shored up that gap a little bit now, and Brathwaite, though, is well in behind it. A study in concentration for him.
Mog says that Vernon chap adds a sheen of class that Muppets like Fred just cannot provide. Well, notwithstanding what he says about Fred, I think we can all agree Vernon adds a real touch of class.
Oh, we've loved having
listening to him.
Vernon's been superb, and we're delighted to have his company for the Grenada Test as well. In comes Leach, throws it up. Brathwaite, not for the first time, puts that front foot forward, bat nicely in line, and there is no run.
Mog says Root's going to be bloody minded and not call this over until there are fewer balls than wickets left to take, isn't he?
Well, that's what happened in Antigua. He got flack for it. I must admit, I'm not so sure. Mash, I'd be keen to hear your point of view again on that. As forward comes Brathwaite. Steered it into your side. At the end of that, there's a maiden. Maybe not surprisingly, Brathwaite's. Well, I tell you, if he ever wants to come and help in my garden, he's an avid gardener. Part of that might be nerves. Mash, how did you feel about that?
The first test one. So the first test one, I could see the argument from both sides, because at the end of the day, Bonner and I think it was Holder looked absolutely unperturbed by what was going on, and I just felt that I got it and I totally understood what Joe Root was doing, but to the cursory glance, whether you're strong or not a strong cricket fan, clearly they weren't going to get themselves out. In this situation, however, I'd go to the end. In
comes Dan Lawrence. That's a better ball. Moves into the right-handed De Silva. Steers him down on the 45. Jack Leach, poor old Jack, who's probably going to enjoy his bath or shower or just generally a lie down and a rub down with the Sporting Life. Whatever he's going to have, he's going to have earned it at the end of this test match. But it does get a single for De Silva after Leach chased it.
I thought it was very disrespectful to go on in the last test. To the viewer, we had to watch more of that absolute garbage.
Tossed up outside of off stump this time by Lawrence. Brathwaite plays it away towards backward point. They will choose not to run. For the record, they need 155 runs, but I don't think that's troubling them. Sorry, Ed.
It's just pointed out that Jack Leach has now bowled.
Lawrence in. Plenty of air with that. Whipped wristily, but wristily straight to mid-on by Brathwaite, who has been an absolute rock. He's got his own record this test. He's faced more balls in a test match than any other West Indian. Onto the back foot. Cuts nicely through backward point. There isn't one. Everyone's round the bat.
I don't know if it's been mentioned but on Grilla, but this is the first match Craig's mum has ever watched him play cricket.
Really?
She must be very proud.
Right match to come and watch him.
Hasn't she just? That's my boy, she's going to be thinking, and she must be proud as punch. He's been quite superb for the West Indies. Back foot pulled by De Silva. Backward a square. Poor old Jack Leach is off in pursuit again. He's got literally no chance. It's going to make it all the way to the boundary for one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That first test I was telling you about, by the way, Leary Constantine, he got 3 wickets. And Andrew Sandham made 157 for England. Of course, he went on to make, famously, 300 and something or other, didn't he? A crazy amount of runs. In the same series, round the wicket comes Lawrence, forces De Silva this time onto the back foot. He went on to score 325 and a 50 in the 4th test at Sabina Park in that series.
Wonder if people were bored by that series.
Well, started with a draw and finished with Andrew Sandham batting forever. England need 5 wickets. There's only 6 overs left in the day. The equation is looking more and more like a handshake. The question is, will Joe Root take it to the wire? He has every right to. They can get those 5 wickets. All they need is 1 breakthrough and 1 can bring 2. Ed?
Armchair Cricket Podcaster said Jack Leach has now bowled more than the number on his back in this test, and that is more than an entire day's play.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal effort, absolutely phenomenal effort on his part.
One thing I would say as well, and why I wasn't as worried when Holder got out, Josh De Silva has been in this position for the West Indies a lot already in his young international career, as you would do batting in a side like the West Indies. So I wasn't too perturbed by the loss of a wicket, because he knows how to stick in and grind it out. So that's not to say he won't get out or Craig won't get out, but I think the end is nigh for this test match.
Well, let's hope so.
Around the wicket comes Leach. Forward comes Brathwaite. And there is no run. I finally worked out how to make myself appear on the screen. Look at that. It's only taken me all day. as Leach is in again. Well, that was a slow turner, and it's carved away towards extra cover. Wokes plods incredibly wearily after it, and they will take 2 easy runs. 135 for 5, 149 in 5 overs is, well, not going to happen. It's all about whether England can get the breakthrough, and at what point does Joe Root accept that they can't. I don't think he will. If they get one more, I think he will push it again. In comes Leach, forward comes Brathwaite. Do you think he can, smell the breath, or at least feel the heat of the breath of all of those players around him?
I think to bat like Craig, you have to be able to get into a zone where you can't even sense anybody else. It's just you and the ball. It has to be, because how else do you explain that level of concentration?
Well, I agree. It's 1, 2. Well, we'll give you the fielding in a second. As forward he comes again. There is. We'll have to wait and see. There's 6 men.
Well, while you wait, Tony, Mackle, Just Ideals with you. He says the burning question is, how many balls of this Barbados test has Craig Brathwaite not been on the field for?
Yeah, I was literally just about to talk about that.
Ooh.
It's day 4.
Right.
In the Oldies.
Okay. Leach in. Little bit of turn. There's 6 men. Jumpy. Not too much chirping from what I can see, which is, I think, a good thing.
I think everyone's just tired, aren't they?
Too tired to chirp. Yeah, that was
mentally tired.
Leach, forward. Brathwaite leans right down. In fact, he's having trouble getting up. I don't blame him. He's decided to kneel down for a while. He's very much in vogue around that particular part of the wicket, and he's decided to drop to his knees and do some remedial work on his gloves. Maybe just trying to edge time away, but it's only, well, what is it now? 5.1 overs left. In fact, it isn't. It's the end of that over. Ed.
Yes, well, Mackle, I think they'll be tired, because unlike us, they've had to watch every ball of this test match and the last one, and I can only imagine what that would do for one's sanity. Warren says maybe Root needs to reset his handshake, and on YouTube, and I'm just going to flick through, he says shake Craig's hand, Joe. Yahweh says for FFS, he says this is disrespectful from Joe Root, no respect to Craig Brathwaite. Raffinaholic says why did Root not declare such a negative captain? Yahweh says I can't believe the lack of respect here, and Raffinaholic says calm down, Yahweh. And now there's just a massive argument over who or what is having respect denied to them and for what purpose.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of with Mash. I see it both ways. I think it's tough, hard Test cricket. It's 5 days. It's going to the wire. I'm not even sure if I'm the West Indies captain. I'm expecting my opposite number just to extend the hand. Would I do the same thing? I think Joe Root's negativity is driven by he's just not sure about his 9 and 10th choice opening bowlers. So there's got to be an element of caution that he's must have looked at Chris Wokes's average anywhere except Warwickshire and Old Trafford and Lords, and went I need a few. Lawrence in, plenty of air left by De Silva.
But Tom, to play devil's advocate here, that half-hour spell before lunch, if England had put us into bat, we would have lost a wicket. I guarantee you that. So I just don't see what the point was of playing on.
Yeah, well, I think I'll take your point on that, as De Silva is pushed back, but plays it solidly. He seems to be quite enjoying the challenge. Joe Root is now on his knees, figuratively and probably metaphorically. I think Ben Stokes is either grimacing or smiling. It's quite hard to tell. Back foot again, steered by De Silva. Jack Leach is at square leg, where he's probably keeping the company of chatting away to Joel Wilson.
But Mackle, I think his negativity is driven by the fact that A, England are rubbish, and B, if he loses this series, he's a dead man.
This is left by De Silva, tossed up wide. Now Lawrence, I'm afraid, is tossing quite a few of these. If these are supposed to be tempters, I really don't think either De Silva or Brathwaite are going to be tempted. Do you, Mash?
No, I don't. I'm going to come back to you on that, Ed, in a sec. Yeah, no. But maybe Dan's tired as well.
Well, he is. He forces this one, a little bit of turn back into the right-handed De Silva.
I'm fairly certain Dan Lawrence did not expect to bowl 13 second innings overs when he came on tour. How many did he bowl in the first over? He surely didn't come here expecting to be an all-rounder.
Well, no, I don't suppose he did, let alone be the all-rounder that we're looking to try and win the test from an England perspective. Forward comes De Silva, steers it wide of Lawrence. It's the end of another over. There's only 4 left. England are route. There's a bit of a think tank. Jack Leach, I think, even just said, do you want me to bowl the next one? Skip. I've got a feeling, Mash, that handshake that you've been wanting
I've got a feeling it might be coming to me.
On the cusp here. 135
Mog says, if nothing else, the absence of the balls and Anderson has meant Root has had to bowl some spin. On YouTube, Andrew Williamson says, I bet Gary Sobers still gets stick for his declaration in 1968. That is why captains don't offer sporting declarations. Ekau Stevens says, poor Bear, his day off is the most interesting. Raffinaholic says, Windy's 140 off our total. Root should have declared with the 240 lead. He's too negative, and Bear must be at the sheesh allowed.
Leach is going to continue and gets that to rip. And he dug it in and he really wrapped his fingers around that, and it did spit and turn. And Brathwaite, gets out his dibber and his fork and anything else he needs to garden with, and goes and has a little prod at that pitch. 2 men short on the leg side, 4 on the off, and that's wide of the off stump and left by Brathwaite.
I'd like to ask Mash if he has any inside knowledge about what he thinks the conditions are going to be like in the next game. Do we have to fear the prospect of another one of these kind of games, do you think?
Well, just hold that thought a second, as that one's left by Brathwaite. I mean, we've gone down to the wire on day 5, and a team has been in with a chance of winning it. Okay, they're not going to get over the line. A better attack possibly would have.
Yeah, I agree, but also we're only coming down to the line because we're inept, not because of the England being good.
Leach around the wicket. Catches Brathwaite on the pad, but pitched well outside of his leg stump, so no excitement from any of those close fielders.
Tony, this game has been absolutely dire, and today I have at no point thought that England were going to win today. I know you have to talk it up.
Comes Leach, and that is pushed back to him by Brathwaite. 3 overs left. All right, Mash, now I'm falling heavily into the West Indian camp that says, come on, Joe, it's probably time. And let's see what this ball does. It's solidly met for about the 9,000th time by Brathwaite to just push it back down the track. It's the end of the over. There's 3 overs left.
Let us figuratively shake hands for Joe and Craig here.
Well, I'm reaching out across the ether to you, Matt.
To answer your question, boys, Brathwaite has been off the field in this whole test match for 19 overs and 1 ball.
Wow. That's pretty decent going from him.
And in that context, to still show the mental fortitude in the second innings to just keep dead batting the ball, you got to hand it to him. This is an epic knock.
Oh, it is an epic. Well, it's 2 epic knocks.
You can't blame the players.
No.
You can only play on the wicket you're on. Mash, I completely agree with you. An amazing show of fortitude. But what I want to know is, are we going to have game 3 in the same vein? Do you think? Is it going to be another grinder-thon?
Right. So let me tell you about that. So I was told Barbados was going to have something in it, but clearly the local association and creators.
There is a change in the bowling. Joe Root is in, and forward comes Josh De Silva. I'll quietly jingle up Joe Root. And we'll just have him playing gently in the background as he is in onto the back foot, punched again. And poor old Jack Leach. The ball's following him, and because he's stationed there at square leg, which is very much De Silva's desired route to push away route. In fact, 2 dot balls, 2.4 overs left. I think the game is cooked. Stick a fork in it, as this one is again punched into the offside. Fisher dives to his right at mid-wicket. Good, keen fielding from him. If he'd let it stroll by and done the old traditional fast bowlers. Oh, and there indeed was a flash of the fantastic Woodstock logo as that one is played down just past forward short leg. Might even have gone through his legs. Root thinks it was a chance. I think we're going to see it possibly was a chance. As Josh goes onto the back foot. Well, we can't see. It was that close. Root's in anguish. And even umpire Dogood has got a bit of a wry smile on his face. Forward, rather squirtily off the outside edge. Crawley sets off in pursuit. Looks round to see if they're going to run. Of course they're not. Why would they? For what? I mean, if you were on the cusp of a 50, maybe you're on 49, you go, okay, I will run this single. But otherwise, stay put. In comes Root. De Silva adopts the pose, the most solid of they shall not pass poses. It's the end of the over. There are only 2 overs left. Well, the West Indies, the light. Now we're going to get the light meter out.
Fantastic.
What? Come on, Joe. I mean, okay. Get me on the Caribbean. I'm almost going to adopt the West Indies here. I think
so. Mackel, I know you were going to answer my question on the Grenada pitch, but I've just been told by David Brooke that, of course, Vernon is going to be giving us the exclusive on the Grenada track on the Babbling Brook 3rd Test podcast.
Yes, I won't say anything in that case.
Well, no, your opinion is, of course, unless you're going to steal what he says.
Well, as you don't know what he's going to say,
exactly.
Then you can tell us.
And
we're looking forward to
he'll be joining the Guerrilla commentary team, and we'll be heard on FM radio throughout Grenada and the Windward Isles for the next test. So let's hope it's a good one.
We will indeed.
Ed, I don't want to take the credit because I'm in Antigua. It will be Stevenson Worm from Grenada. He's the man. He's going to be the man on the ground.
Mr. Stevenson.
All right.
Stevenson Worm. He's from Grenada. I wanted to ask Mackie.
Forward comes Brathwaite.
As to when Root will call this game.
Pushed back down the track. There was no run.
I reckon at the end of this over we call it.
Well, that's what we're rather hoping. Jack Leach is in again. Forward comes Brathwaite. Full maker's name, not the Woodstock name on this occasion for Brathwaite. That's the other end with Josh De Silva. Just 1.4 overs left. 135 for 5. That's kind of an irrelevant stat, as is the 147 runs needed. And England had perhaps a sniff, but it's just faded away into the Caribbean breeze, I'm afraid. And that's largely down to Craig Brathwaite, who once more has been the rock around which the West Indies resistance has been built. Leach in again, pushed to Lawrence by Brathwaite, flicks it back to Leach, and almost in the manner of a man who actually wants to get this over and done with, to be honest. I think they've all decided it's come on Joe time. Stick out that big paw and say thanks. Once again, forward comes Brathwaite, pushes back to Leach.
I feel like you've been saying that on repeat for probably 85
5 days. Well, whenever the West Indies have been batting, it does feel like that. He's been superb, has Craig Brathwaite. Absolutely superb. Leach. Oh, he's beaten the bat this time. There's a big appeal. And, well, Joel Wilson's going to have a look now.
Well, they're going for the stumping.
I think they're going for the stumping. Brathwaite's got the wryest of smiles on his face. He clearly doesn't think he's out, does he?
He hasn't even left his crease. I mean, it's almost like an amusement.
No, he hasn't left his crease. The question is if it took anything on the way through. He certainly didn't leave his crease. He is having a chat with De Silva. We'll just have another look. It beats the bat. Yeah. It was well fielded and smartly fielded, as you would expect from Ben Folkes. Does he have his back foot up, perhaps? I don't think he ever lifted his foot. I don't think he thinks he ever lifted his foot. Ultra edge doesn't even blip, which was never really the issue.
If this isn't out, I want us to all shake hands now.
Well, I think we've agreed that. If you're representing the West Indies and I'm sat here being an Englishman, I think we definitely wanted to.
Oh my God! It was a review from Court Behind.
No, it couldn't have been. That's ridiculous.
It could not have been. That's what I was saying. So
that's nonsense.
It just didn't add up at all. I mean, it just didn't add up.
Right, Jack Leach. 1 ball left of the penultimate over of this second Test match from at Kensington Oval, Barbados. Leach is going to bowl it to Craig Brathwaite, who once again is everything, including the kitchen sink, squarely behind it. All eyes are on Joe Root.
I think we're getting 2 more balls, you know. We're going down to the final 4.
He will. He's clear. I think he's making a point. You know. I think he's going. I'm not going to be rolled over.
Yeah.
What? I'm not nice guy Joe. I'm here to win Test matches.
Now, I actually think
shame about the headband, though.
I would actually say that Carlos Brathwaite's point he made in the first test is now relevant for this test. Maybe not so much the first, but to do it a second time, it's not. I'm not saying it's disrespectful, but I'm not sure who. I think this motivates West Indies more than it motivates England to show how ruthless England are. Personally,
well, I think we will debate that several times over on our various media. Mash heading towards Grenada. This was played down into the ground by De Silva off the bowling of Joe Root.
Potentially the final ball of this Test match coming up.
Well, if he goes further than this, then he can't count. I don't know what else I could possibly say. Josh De Silva, 5 men round the bat. De Silva just pushes it past the very short fielders towards Jack Leach again at square leg.
Wait a minute.
5 wickets. That's not going to happen. And literally...
There's no extra half an hour in play, is there?
Not that I'm aware of, because the overs are... Unless we're missing a trick here. Yeah, the overs...
This is the minimum the last over.
Yeah, this is the last over, so that should not be
an issue. It's 5:46 in Barbados as we speak.
The gloom is a-gathering. But Joe Root, he's going to carry on. Maybe he'll just carry on bowling when everyone else has gone in. As forward comes De Silva this time. That Woodstock bat tucks in tidily. That sweeping, swirling serif face of the W, showing the maker's name.
So my understanding, Tony,
push to the onside again. No run, Ed.
Is that just for going on to quick info? This is the last of the minimum, but there's 13 minutes left in the hour, which is the extra half an hour, so they can keep going.
They can continue, right?
So aren't we lucky?
Fantastic.
Well, if one brings 2, it could just still be a little bit edgy, but I don't think De Silva is in any kind of mood to do that. He's steered that away into the onside. So the requisite number of overs are bowled. We think Joe Root's nodding. Johnny Bairstow's gone past, said something. And they've shaken hands. Yes! There it is. They've decided they didn't want the 13 minutes. And quite right too. It's been a sterling effort. We've had moments of excitement today. West Indies wickets fell. England had put enough on the board. There was a point at which you just thought if one more wicket might just open the door. It didn't, and the main reason it didn't is that Craig Brathwaite has made another 56. He's faced more balls than any other West Indian in a Test match ever, passing by quite a considerable margin now Brian Lara's original record. So the players are patting each other on the back, shaking hands. It's been stirring stuff. It hasn't been stirring stuff all the way through, it's got to be said, but when it came down to the wire, there were moments today of genuine hard-fought, tough Test cricket. We are all square as we will go to Grenada.
Tony, can I finish off the tweets?
Please do, and then we'll get some final thoughts from Mash and from Vernon.
So Mog says, I see we've reached a stage of analysis where each side tries to claim they are more shite than the other. Warren says, thanks everyone for a fun test, brackets commentary-wise at least. Mark Zip says, to play Pollyanna for a moment, at least with these pitches we haven't had to wonder about what Wood, Anderson, Broad might have done. Yahweh says, superb performance, Captain Craig, amazing, cheer up Joe. And Dan De Castro says, I would have kept bowling. And to finish things off, Armchair Cricket Podcast retweets Mark Puttick, which says, Craig Brathwaite has faced more balls in this one match than Chris Martin did in his entire Test career, which was 71 tests.
Really? Well, of course, yeah, because he's famous.
Well, it's on Twitter, so it must be true, Tony.
Well, there you go. It's a bit like Wikipedia.
I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Macklin Vernon, only to say that I love your optimism. However, if I ever watch a test like that, I'm going to resign my membership of Surrey Cricket Club. The game will die if we have more games like that. Lovely to see you, Mash. Vernon, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Vernon, let me come to you first. Just some final closing thoughts. I'm not sure I agree with Ed there. It was edge of the seat stuff until it wasn't, I guess.
Well, I'm glad that I shared the same stage with Mackie, but I'm very disappointed with the comments that I heard from Ed Benson. There's been a critical purpose where folks feel that West Indies have just been a bang team that has come out and played bam cricket. And to see the team evolving over the period of time in this test series, if we go back to Sri Lanka, sometimes you can think about the last time that you think you would have seen a West Indies team automatically bat an entire day. There has to be signs of improvement. And if he's saying that the game is going to die, I think we also have to look at the consistency of what is happening now with what's happening around with world cricket. Because ICC helping test cricket. Because the smaller nations like Ireland, Bangladesh and Afghanistan and Zimbabwe are not getting the opportunity and the support to play test cricket. So if he's feeling that everyone is going to test cricket is going to die if we have test matches like these, I would say that test cricket has already died, because ICC has not reached out to some of the smaller nations to be able to help them so that we can have more competitive test series. Tests just play between the big four. And that's just my opinion.
No, I think that's a very valid opinion, and one I hope that you and I and our fellow guerrillas will spend a long time debating in the coming weeks.
And before I go, Tony, I'm glad that Mackie's on here. There's a disparity. The smaller countries are being marginalized, whether we like it or not. And we have to ask ourselves, is ICC doing enough for racism in sports, cricket, both for men and women? How much impact is being made? I mean, we have to be serious. These are uncomfortable conversations that we don't want to have. The easiest thing for us to say that we had a bad pitch and it was flat. We have issues which are affecting cricket worldwide. I don't think we as here at Gorilla Cricket, we have to be able to identify those issues that are affecting the game worldwide. When you look at the sports all around, whether it be football, money is equally distributed. Money is not equally distributed. The ICC.
I think you'll find, Vernon, that Guerrilla Cricket has been proponents of broadening the cricketing church anywhere in the world, evenly, in the most neutral and positive ways. So you're preaching to a choir here, and I think you're preaching to a choir with most of our listeners. But we're not. We're certainly agreeing with you.
Just before I close, Tony, I just want to be able to say that that a platform. I'm part of this platform now. We need action. Words have power. If we want to talk about discrimination, people in exceptional circumstances, if we want to be able to make sure that our folks are not being marginalized, whether it is our officials, whether it is our players, whether it is we as the media, in terms of what we say. Because remember, to thrive off of what Mackie says, what you say, what I said, what it says, and that's where they're going to get the energy from. So if they're saying, listen, I heard Mackie and Vernon Springer saying, I think they should ban test cricket. There's the mood that they're going to come up with. If they hear us defending and saying, this is the reason why we feel that test cricket should continue, it should be alarming. I think for most of the folks on social media, look at the ICC Test Championship table and see England to the bottom of it. I think it's hurting badly for a lot of the English fans.
It's hurting a lot, and that's why you've heard us talk a lot about the reset. The mission for Andrew Strauss, the finding of a new coach, even the investigation of the structure of our domestic game. We white ball reset and we won a World Cup, but you can't reset in one area only for everything. It's like spinning plates. If you're spinning one plate and all the other plates fall over, then what's the point of just the one plate? So 100%. We as an English, if I speak as an English fan for a moment, we want to be strong in all formats. If I look at me personally, I will always say I want to be strong in Test cricket. I'm very happy when we win the other stuff, but it's matches like this that I live for as a cricket fan perspective. I don't think I would agree with anyone who said it was dull all the way through. I do think the wicket could have done more favours. I do think it could have just had a little bit more life in it. But I think when I look at the performance of Brathwaite, when I look at the emergence, or the re-emergence perhaps even, of Jack Leach, when I look at Mahmood bowling tidily, there were moments in this game for sure when it could have gone either way. And the fact we've arrived at another draw, say a draw's a legitimate result.
I also feel that sometimes we have to be able to appreciate new beginnings of folk. So you see Mahmood, you see Fisher, you see a Jaden Seals. I think it is important to unearth new talent. If we continue with the same talent all the time, then how are they going to come good? How are we going to know that Mackie is good if we don't put him into the fold? And Mackie raised the point. What happens when England come back, when England goes back for the summer? You're going to put Mahmood and Fisher and those guys on the bench after how they would have toiled here in the Caribbean? You're going to give them the same opportunities in England where they can prove themselves.
Well, we are about to close the show. I just want to just give a few words from MASH, and then I'd like to say another huge thank you to you, Vernon, for your magnificent contributions. We've really enjoyed them. Hopefully your audience in the Caribbean has enjoyed us, and we'd love to be doing more of it. We're certainly looking forward to, if not you, sadly, but we're certainly enjoying having Stevenson. We're looking forward to having Stevenson with us as we start into that Grenada test. Mash, just a few words from you, if we may, as well, before we run the theme music.
Yeah, no doubt. I think ultimately, after the first test in Antigua, I felt there wasn't much either side could really learn from that drawn test. I think there just wasn't enough going on, or there was nothing new that you could really learn. I think this test, however, from an England perspective, England fans will be looking at Fisher and Mahmood and saying, okay, maybe we've got something in reserve that we can work with. They'll be looking at Stokes's return to form with the bat and feel excited about that, because at the end of the day, Stokes batted on this track in a way that nobody else could bat, and that's got to be applauded. I think Vernon said earlier on that he took risks and tried to move the game on in a way that only Ben Stokes can, of the players across both sides. Root was root as usual. So England learned some stuff. And then for the West Indies, Vernon's right. Listen, the West Indies test side has a history of not being able to bat long consistently, particularly in the last year. We've been blown away by Pakistan, blown away by Sri Lanka, blown away by South Africa. Yes, the track has helped, but like England, the top six needs to show they can be resilient. And granted, a lot of this was down to Craig Brathwaite, but we have to applaud Jermaine Blackwood's knock as well. He was under pressure coming into this test match. Ideally, though, going into Grenada, I think I speak for everyone, the listeners as well as everybody on Gorilla, I'd just like to see a track that offers something for a bit more for the fast bowlers in particular, because I don't know if we're truly going to see how mature both teams' batting lineups are if we don't see a track that threatens the batters more for both teams. So I don't know if we can truly judge at this stage who can actually bat amongst both sides until the bowlers are given greater assistance. But either way, a hard-fought test. You would have thought it was game over. You would have thought that nothing was going to happen on day 5, but give England their due. A game was made of it, and Craig Brathwaite dug in deep and ensured that we go to Grenada with all to play for.
We do, and that'll be on Thursday. And on Gorilla Cricket, you will hear every ball of it, as you will on PlatinumFM.
Benny, can I just chip in for a second? Just
very
to say,
quickly.
My own thank you to Vernon. And I think all listeners should really heed his words, what he said there. Very powerful stuff. You know, we talk about Michael Holding's speech about Black Lives Matter. The speech we just heard from Vernon Springer is one of the most important things we'll hear on the radio this year. He's saying it's time not just to debate these issues, but to speak up for West Indies cricket as a test match force. And media have responsibility. That's what I've taken from what Vernon said, that we on the media, we in Gorilla Cricket have responsibility to promote test cricket, not to kill it. And by setting a tone, we do influence. We are agents of that change, as it were. And I just think that it's, you know, what were the words of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes recently reissued by John Legend? Wake up, everybody. I think that's a wake-up call. We can play our part. We've started the wake-up call by Vernon's words just then. I think we can get real action. We underestimate the influence of the guerrilla family, the tweeters, and all the people that have contributed to this broadcast. It's a wonderful international family. And if we get our act together we can do better than the European Super League. We can really change things. So well done, Vernon, for making those words. And I'll certainly be repeating them on the podcast, Babbling with Brooke podcast with Vernon, which we're dropping on Tuesday, which is a preview of the third test, which you'll find on GorillaCricket.com.
You will indeed. Well, from Mash, from Vernon, from David, from everyone else who's been on today, Jacob, Nestlers, Messers, Jason as well, Al, all of us. We will see you on Thursday in Grenada, and till then, take care of yourselves, and we will see you. Farewell.
Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pasco, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara,